So in this tutorial we're going to look at table-driven patterns. And table-driven patterns are a little bit unique in the types of patterns that are available to you, and that's because each pattern member that you create as a copy of the original feature, so that in this case this was our original feature, this boss on this plate. And as you can see, we've created 4 copies of it using the pattern feature. But these copies are not created by inputting any sort of regular spacing from the original feature. And more than that, they don't have any relationship to each other, other than the fact that they're all based on this original feature. Their positions, which is what I've varied in this pattern, I've varied the positions of these copies relative to the original. They bear no relationship to each other. So this is what a table-driven pattern is good for. It's good for allowing you to vary each copy that you make of the original in a unique way that doesn't necessarily have to relate to any of the other pattern members. So let's delete this table-driven pattern. So I'm right-clicking on the pattern feature here, and instead of going delete, which would delete everything including the original, I'm going to delete pattern instead. And this is where I started. So if you want to create this plate quickly, it's just a simple flat plate with a cylindrical extrude in one corner. We've had a look at this plate in the earlier pattern tutorials, so you may want to go back to those. So when you've got the plate, in order to activate the pattern option up here in the toolbar, you've got to select the feature that you want to pattern, open the pattern dialog here, and we're going to change our pattern type to table. And what we're going to do is we're going to select some of the dimensions that are driving our original boss feature here. So I think we'll select this 40mm dimension that's referenced to the top edge there. We'll probably select maybe the let's select the height of the part. So in my case that's 20mm. So let's the way I selected both of those items was after I'd selected the first one, I held down Control and selected the second one, and you can see that I have 2 selected because it says up here 2 items. So I have 2 dimensions selected there, and when I've got them selected, I'm going to click on Edit over here, and what that's going to allow me to do is edit this table that's been created and vary these dimensions to create my copies that will be my pattern members. So if we click on Edit, and you can see it'll bring me into the table editor here, and what it's showing me here is it's put a row at the top of my table, and that row is showing me what my dimensions currently are. So that's these bracketed figures here. So currently the height of my boss is 20mm and the distance away from the top edge is 40mm. And what it allows me to do, this editor, is I can put in a numbered copy. So my numbers are going to start at 1 and then increment up in ones, and then it allows me to enter a new value for this first copy of my part for its spacing from the top edge. So let's say I want this first copy to be spaced at, instead of 40mm from the top edge, I want 60mm from the top edge. And instead of having my boss 20mm tall, I might have it 11mm tall. So let's see what that's done. We'll OK that. There you go. So we've taken a copy of that original boss, we've varied its position and its size, in this case its extruded value, and we've created a copy there. So you can do that with lots of other pattern types, but if we go back in and edit our definition some more, let's put some more copies in this table. So let's go Edit Table again, and this instance we're going to call number 2, because this is another copy. So that first copy, we change this 40 value to 60. This next one, let's jump way ahead and go up to 200. So that 40 value in our new copy is going to be 200 mil from the top edge. And instead of having a smaller value for the extrude, let's have a larger value for the extrude. So let's say the extrude depth is now going to be 60. And then again, if we quit out of here and then OK, you can see that our new row in our table has generated this copy now, which there is no regular spacing increment between our original, this first copy, and this second copy. Essentially, this first copy and second copy, their spacing and the amount that they're varying by is totally independent of each other. So this is what table patterns are good for. You want your copies to be somehow related to the original, but you don't necessarily want them to obey a set rule in terms of how they vary. You want each one to have the ability to be unique in terms of its relationship with its other pattern members. So let's create some more in here. Let's have another one at 200 for our spacing. In fact, let's make it 230, and let's take the height down to just 1 mil. So again, we can quit out of there, click on OK, and again we've got this varied copy that is still a pattern member, but the way that it's been modified is in no way related to how this one has been modified or how this one has been modified. The only thing that they share is they're all related back to the original that they are based on. So that's our table pattern essentially. And if we wanted to go back in and add some more references in, let's say we don't just want those 2 dimensions that we can vary. Let's say we wanted to vary the diameter as well. Then we could click in the entry box here, hold down Control again, click on the value that we want to add there. You can see that we now have 3 values in there. Click on Edit, and you can see that there's another column that's been added here to allow us to vary these copies. So let's say the first one we wanted is 15, and then we were going to have a 2 mil diameter, and then maybe a 30 mil diameter. So when we OK that, we can see that we've now varied them even more. And again, these 3 copies of the original are in no way related to each other. So that's the table-driven pattern.